Hello, thank you very much for coming to this session. I have to warn you one thing. I don't speak Polish, as you noticed from my first dzień dobry. And English is not my first language, so if you don't understand anything, it's natural. Please tell me, and I will repeat it in Portuguese. Okay? It's okay? So, I want to give you a bit of what has been my experience in the last years. And meaning the last year since '97, that is the time I've been working with in this digital area. So, oops. So, this is my flower, okay? This is my model because I was working in all these areas. And I was thinking, what they have in common. I was working in networking, how to establish a network of contacts in terms to get more knowledge, to get more business opportunities. And actually, I was also working in how people learn and how they can learn with each other. And I was working also in how they communicate, especially when we have these social networks, and believe me, they didn't start with Facebook. Back in the 90s, I used something called GeoCities, and we started those kind of networks. So now it seems that the world is all after Facebook or something like that. No, there was other networks before, and there were always networks offline. So we always had social networks, and also. I'm a professor. I don't look like because I don't have the beard, the pipe, and things like that. But I'm a professor in several universities, and I talk about digital marketing. And also, marketing is becoming more and more social because we are recommending products, we are selling products ourselves. And finally, and that is the part that I have been the least successful, is the part of work. Not working in itself, but collaborative work. Because most people think that they know how to use technology in the workplace, but actually they don't. And we have the technology that we dreamt like 20 or 30 years ago, but we use like it doesn't exist. So, what I'm going to share with you, because we have around 15 minutes, is some things that I learned through my journey. So let's start with the workplace. We have new things in the workplace that were not there some 10 years ago. For instance, every product has a shorter and shorter life cycle. Everything has a life span that is really, really small, and is smaller each time. So there is no time for people to really learn how to sell the product, what the product is, because when they finish in the traditional process, the product is no longer there. So, also, if you think about it, the office that you have now in 2013 and what was an office in the 40s or the 30s, the amount of knowledge that you have to know only to be in that office, not to work with others, but only to be there, it's bigger than it was before. It's much bigger. Also, knowledge is a competitive advantage. It's not a question of price, it's a question of the knowledge that you have of the market, the knowledge that you have of the customer, the knowledge that you have of your own product in order to sell it. Another phenomenon is that we are having more and more staff turnover, so people entering and leaving the company very fast. So that is a big challenge, because in most companies you see that knowledge is entering and knowledge is going out the door every day. So it's like those revolving doors. Okay, one enter and one left. And that is a problem. Also, you have another thing that you have to be prepared to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learning for life, something has ended. We have to be much more open to learn and unlearn very fast than we have to be open to learn once and for all. So we really, really need to think about that. And also, we live in a cloud world. Not because we are in the clouds, because we are smoking something strange, but because nowadays we are used to have access to a huge amount of information. Think about, till a few years ago, you would do libraries in order to get a kind of warehouse of knowledge. Nowadays, any of us can have access instantaneously. For instance, I'm a teacher, and as a teacher, I was in the beginning used to get privileged access to information. And now I have on the other side people that are checking every fact that I'm saying at the same moment. And I see that most of my colleagues, they do the cowboy approach. You know how the cowboy approach happens is like this. Somebody says, well, but there is this study from somebody else that says different. And the cowboy approach is to, but I have this one. And that is wrong, because actually you have to use the power of the room, being it a classroom, face-to-face classroom, or being the virtual classroom. As, for instance, I believe that nowadays trainers and teachers are no longer facilitators of knowledge. They are catalysts of knowledge. They accelerate the process. So they have to create new experiences. So it's interesting when I come to rooms like this, in these kind of conferences or in universities, and I start saying what I'm going to say. We are seeing the last days of things like this. Because we have people that are coming into the system that demand more from the experience that they have in terms of time. So we need to give them more. We have to create different learning experiences. So let's talk about the workplace. You know this series about The Office? There is a British version and there's an American one. And it's like a portrait of an office. And I think it's a very nice one. If you haven't seen it, it's interesting. But it's one of the paradoxes that we are living nowadays. If you think about how an office, why we have offices. Offices are built in a logical of the Industrial Revolution. So you had scarce resources, you need to pull people to the same place and to share the resources. But if you look now, what are the dynamics? It's very interesting, because think about this. You have to do a very important report, okay? You need at least 2 or 3 hours to work on it. I bet that you will think about like this. Let's see if in Poland it's like this. You will think, well, maybe I will go earlier to the office to do so. Maybe I will stay late at the office to do so. Maybe I will stay even at home to do so. Maybe I will take the opportunity that I have to catch a train to Krakow and do it. Maybe I will do it on a plane. But how many of you will say, I will do it at the office during working hours? How many? 1, 2. Okay, we have more than 2 people in the room, so it's a vast minority that will do it. How many people work in your offices, by the way? Because I will do also in my office, but my office is myself. So
it's an open space.
Oh, Jesus, those. That is so industrial revolution. That the funny thing is that we have the offices. We have the offices. So, the question is, why we have the office if nobody works there? Because we always had it. That's the thing. So it's very funny because I'm working with much younger generations and they don't understand this. They really don't understand why you go to a place to do stuff that we could do it from home better than you would do it there. So, also it's a question of how to communicate in a different way. These are some advices that comes from a book that I published recently, and that is Communicate 2.0. Because I think nowadays it's not a question of which mean is better to communicate with people. It's to decide which mean is better to communicate with which people at what time and for what. So, for instance, I love this, the Google Hangouts. You know this? Absolutely fantastic. For free. They give you the possibility of talking with 10 people at the same time, sharing documents, share screen. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. For instance, because I'm going always around the world, one of the things that I do with my kids is that they are always, one of them is completely addicted to Minecraft. Have you heard about the game? So he shows me the houses that he's building. Okay, and it's funny because I connect much more with him than even if I was right beside him, because I would be like, in this way, it's right in front of my computer, it's full screen, and I'm watching that. So, one of the things that I see companies is to say, let's forbid Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Skype, that's the funniest one, on our companies. And it's really, really, really stupid nowadays because you see how people work. They are working in the computer, okay, they have the computer, they are sitting, and suddenly they do like this. They are reaching for their mobile phone and going for Facebook. That's much better. Because you can go for a smoke downstairs, you can go 20 floors down, go for a smoke, go back, but you cannot go 5 minutes to Facebook. That's complicated. Because you don't have a responsibility policy in the companies. You have to be responsible for your time. You have to reach the goals. If you need it for reaching the goals to go 5 minutes to Facebook to unblock your brain, go there. It's better than smoking. Share, not email. In my view, 80% of emails are useless. People like a lot of emails. We have people that are enslaved by email. It's absolutely believable. Their agenda is email. Their tasks is email. Their to-do list is email. They don't do anything more than react to email. And they don't notice that. So we have to see all the opportunities to eliminate email from our horizon. And that is using, for instance, those tools like Dropbox, Google Drive, and things like this that can really, really, really make a difference. So Skype and Hangouts are absolutely amazing for me. And I had the other day I was at a European institution that I will not say the name, and I discovered that they are forbidden to use Skype. And the funny thing is that I asked them, why? And they say, for security reasons. And so they use the phone. And I asked them, have you heard about Mr. Snowden and the NSA? Because they were tapping phones. Even Merkel's phone was tapped. So phone is not really secure. And in this case, it's an agency that, let's say, that is giving information to the public. So
what they can listen to their phones is like, okay, we will do a conference in Warsaw next month. Wow, that's very secret. But this notion that these kind of tools are complicated, and they have, for instance, they bought those video conference systems, very expensive, and they are useless because they don't use it. They only use from one time a year. So interesting. So these kind of tools, not. It's a pity. Also, we live in a YouTube era, and I will give you an example afterwards how I use it, for instance, with my students. But we have to be prepared as professionals to do videos online at any moment. Because again, for us it's completely normal that I need to present a product to a customer. So I drive 50 kilometers, go there, present the product for 15 minutes, and drive 50 kilometers back. And that is normal. That is crazy. Because nowadays we have the possibility to present a product, and not only to a customer, but to thousands of customers at the same time, in a simple video. And we can send that. For instance, one of the things that I do with I have a designer that works with me. And I was used to, back in the days, to send emails and say, you should do like this, and capture a little bit of the screen, and pointing, I want the logo here, not there. And nowadays what I do is I do a recording of the screen with my cursor, and I say, I want this here and this thing. So for her, it's even better than being in a meeting with me. Why? Because she has two screens, and she's doing the stuff, and watching me saying, giving exactly instructions, zero mistakes. I don't send emails. I share the file, and she sees the file, and that's it. So, also, we have to be really mobile, because nowadays most people have the gadgets, but they don't use it. So there is a lot of gaming going on, and Facebooking and things like that. But really, we have to use this kind of tool. To give you an idea, for instance, across Europe, you can do this. It's possible to talk with several people at the same time on the phone. 6 people normally, it's the maximum. Only using the line. I'm not talking about using VoIP, I'm not talking about that. I'm not going there yet. And this has been available for the last 15 years. And most people don't know it. So nowadays, in the same mobile phone, you can talk with more people actually for free, and people don't use it. So they use some very sophisticated systems of teleconference and things like that that look like kind of fish in the middle of a table. So also, I see that to know how to communicate in this new world is a new leadership skill. Nowadays, I cannot imagine that a CEO of a company is not able to communicate on video, is not able to communicate on a collaborative tool. But they are. And they are setting a bad example in the use of these tools. So I'm working with people that are in leadership positions and helping them how to use these kind of tools, because they have to lead by example. So, and why this social networking? Why is it so important? Now, suggestions. Why is it important to network? You can say something.
It's easier to communicate.
Easier to communicate. More. To share knowledge.
And experience.
Share knowledge and experience.
Business.
Business. It's all about business. More.
It's more effective.
More effective. Anything else?
Find partners for collaboration.
Sorry?
Find partners for collaboration.
Find partners for collaboration.
Saving time.
Sorry? Saving time. Oh, yeah.
To learn things.
To learn things. Yeah, because think about this. Now, the amount of knowledge that we have available is unbelievable. And we have to think which system is working with huge amount of information and is working well. For me, that system is the internet. So when you are looking to a web page, you don't care which server is providing which square of the page that you are seeing. You only want the information there. And now we have to work like that because we live in an era that nobody can say that they know everything that there is to know about something, about some subject. So we really need to learn in a different way. So we need to connect. Also, it's a personal thing. You didn't talk about personal things, but it's also personal. It's very funny because when we look about this technology, because we are professionals, we always tend to look from a professional side. But behaviors start to change when there is a personal approach, when you are doing it in your own life. And think about how was the dating game some years ago. You would go to a bar or a disco, you talk with a girl, another girl, another girl, another girl, blah, 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 and you would try to get information. How is now the dating game? You go to Facebook first. And if you meet the girl at that place, you at some point say something, oh, sorry, I have to go to the bathroom, and you pick your mobile. Relationship status, it's complicated. I have a chance. Not important, of course. You know. It's only in Portugal that we have this kind of things. So we have to think that this social networking is an extension of our life, personal and professional, because there are two mergers happening nowadays. One is online and offline. There is no more online. There is no more offline. And you have to acknowledge that. If not, you will have two types of behavior and you will look schizophrenic. And also there is another one that it comes with that is there is no more private life and public life. We have to be careful with that. That's why I'm working with young adults or teenagers saying, you know, everything that you put on the web, it will be there forever. So that's why I like this definition from Archimedes. He was talking about physics. But social networking is about social leverage. It's getting to do much more with much less resources. So that is what we can do nowadays. And that is something that I do it every day because that's my work. And believe me, I come from a small country and I never met somebody that did the same thing back home that I do. But nowadays, thanks to this, I work with more than 50 countries. I'm going around. So last month was Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, and Mexico. This month is Poland. It's not a very busy month. Spain also. So let's go back to training. So what are the limitations of training nowadays? Let's talk about traditional training. Different levels of knowledge are entering the room, and what you do, you try to level things by average. So you lose the ones that really are very knowledgeable about the subject and they are bored to death. And those that don't understand anything, even if you repeated them 3 times, they need 4. Bad luck. So you lose them. So also, we live in an era where memory is not an option. Think about, till a few years ago, there was a huge confusion between intelligence and memory. So somebody that would recite information, wow, how smart. And it's nothing. Because nowadays we can Google it very fast. And that is what has changed. Also, traditional training is not just in time. People learn when the training center thinks that is better in terms of logistics. Not when they need it. So what happens? They receive a training, and in 1 month or 2 months they will apply that stuff, and they will not remember it. So it's nice. So this is an example that I like very much. Technical training. I hope there is not many people here from training centers that have those rooms with computers. Let's imagine that there isn't. I love those rooms in a sarcastic way. Because let's think about the dynamics. Let's imagine an Excel course. Okay, the simple thing, so everybody knows what it is. And you have the trainer, and you have the people with the computers. So the dynamic that you have is the trainer is doing stuff and showing, and the others are like, yeah, and nothing else is happening. So that's why they rely on manuals. They give them manuals so they can go back and know the stuff that they were learning. But the funny thing about manuals is that they are written by... All of us started to reading the manual? No. So, why we are doing? Because it's a ritual. It's something that we can say, we comply. We did it. Here is the manual, here is the trainer, here's the room, and we forget about the process. How people learn. So, in social learning, the phases are a little bit different. That's why it's so good. Because first one, you feel the need for the knowledge, so you search for it. The best way to learn is when we feel the need. If we are, let's say, exposed to a knowledge that, why do we need that? That is called high school normally. Because most of it is, I don't say that to my kids, but I understand that they are passing a process that most of the things that they are going to learn, they are going to lose it. But it's a ritual. They have to do that. They have to be certified. And then they can go to college and do more of that. So when you need the knowledge and you manage to have the transfer of that knowledge, you can do one thing that is fantastic when you are learning. You can apply it. You can really do it. And you know, the thing that we forget when we are talking about learning is that we are talking about brains. How people memorize things, how people get things for their lives. Think about memories. Think about moments that you will never forget. I bet that in all those moments, you have an emotion attached. It can be a traumatic experience. It can be a joyful experience. But you will never forget it. Why? Because our brain is wired that way. If we attach an emotion to something, it's more likely that we will remember forever. And which is the emotion that we have when we have this process? Is that we managed to do so. So it's like our own reward. We didn't know how to do it, we got how to do it, and we did it. Yes, consolidation. So the knowledge will stay. So that is something that we have to create learning experiences that people have fun, but also that at the same time, they are useful. Everybody is able to change if they understand the change. It's interesting because the other day I was with a speaker and he was giving an example that is very funny. Is that normally people say, we as humans don't like change. That's a bit true, but think about most people, they get married, they get kids, they change place where they live. A lot of these things are huge changes. And why they do so? Because they understand the advantage of doing so. And that's the problem when we try to change people, is we have to make them aware, make them a part of the process in a way that they understand the advantage of changing. So I want to... Yes, please.
For the previous slide,
I will go back.
I'm not sure about the last point, the consolidation, because I was trying to remind what I was doing lately. I was trying to find some formula for Excel. So I went on some forum on the internet, asked the questions, or was looking on Google. And then I had the answer, I was using it, but I didn't consolidate it, because I know that next time when I need it, I can come back to Google. So I'm not sure about the last one.
It depends on if we use Roma or RAM. Because actually nowadays, the way we should work is we should have like ROM and we should have like RAM. And you put it in RAM, volatile.
This is easier because this is the social learning.
Exactly.
I can always come back.
That's why I talked about learn, unlearn, relearn. So you will probably, because of that, is not of vital importance of what you are doing. What you will do is you will learn, unlearn, relearn. And because it's very fast, because you can do it. Some years ago, it was impossible. Because we were working, I normally say that there are, let's say, 3 moments in human history in terms of learning. One is before Gutenberg, after Gutenberg, and then after YouTube. Yes, please.
Probably the answer to the question. Well, if we think about the application of acquired knowledge, it doesn't mean that it's copy and paste. Yeah, but if you see that the access formula will bring something extra, I mean, like your creative work, if you check this formula and then apply it in your work to do something new, then you consolidate and remember it. But if it was really copy paste, you check on the formula, copy it,
Yeah, so you use only the volatile memory because it's not needed, it's not vital for your work.
it's not real application.
So, before Gutenberg, how the knowledge was transferred? We would have a master and an apprentice. And the master would show the apprentice how to do stuff. That's why schools actually were masters. And you would send your kid to be an apprentice. That was the model before Gutenberg. With Gutenberg, you have the opportunity to spread the knowledge across the world because you have the written word. But the funny thing is that this is a very imperfect module, even if you think about that has been the model that we have been using for a long, long time. Why is it imperfect? Because every time that you use this, you are using like this. You are doing, first, one interpretation of reality. So you make a codification of that reality. And then people that read have to encode it. And this is very important, for instance, when we talk about those manuals. So when we have the YouTube model, it's completely different because you can show. So for instance, the new generation, their motto is not tell me how to do it, it's show me how to do it. For instance, the other day, I offer a kind of mini skate to my younger kid. He's 11. And it was all in pieces. So I gave him, there was a manual how to build it, a small manual. And he went with the skate to his room. And 1 hour after, he came with everything, with all the pieces put together, everything was okay. And I asked, so you did it through the manual? He said, no, I went through YouTube. And he had the manual for that skateboard. But he prefers, immediately, in his brain, he's wired not to go for the written thing, because he will not understand it completely, like neither of us will. So, I want to give you two examples, and then we will have also time to talk a little bit. One of the examples, you will have a session actually in the afternoon, because it's a project that some of you even have papers from it, I see, knowledge pills. And it's a very interesting project that we did with small and medium companies, and we did it in Poland, and we did it in Spain. It was a partnership from Portugal, Greece, Poland, and Spain. And you can get all the information at that website, and also you have a session in the afternoon. So I will be very fast on this. So this started, I can tell you the story of how this started, because you will not get it in the session, the afternoon session. In 2003, I had a former brother-in-law that had an issue. He was 45 years old, and he had arrived to very high positions like marketing director, general manager of company. But at some point he decided to work by himself, and that was not very good. So he was unemployed, and he had a major issue, is that he had no knowledge about how to use Office, how to do an email, because he always had a secretary to do so. So this is a huge problem. So he did the normal thing. He went for the 200 hours course of Microsoft Office. When he returned from that course, he thought that he was really, really dumb, because he couldn't understand anything. He understood it in the room, and then he couldn't do it at home. So I decided to help him, and what I did was using a program that is still around, that is called Camtasia Studio. You know this? So I was sitting with him, and I was recording everything that we were doing, even his questions. And the improvement was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular, because there was a person that had very big difficulties with the Office package, and now he's going around the world with his computer. So it was really, really impressive for me. So I started thinking how I can use this. And this, you have to think that this was before YouTube. YouTube started in 2005, so it's very difficult. It was very difficult at the time to explain the concept, because there was no YouTube tutorials. And another thing is that I didn't want to do tutorials. I wanted to capture knowledge inside a company, because companies are full of knowledge, and they waste it every day. So the idea is that any employee can be a training agent, because everybody knows something that is important for the company. If not, they should be fired. So it helps because it reduces costs, because it's much easier. Logistically, is absolutely fantastic. It's just-in-time training. Many times I sit it with people that work with me, and they explain something, and after finishing the explanation, I upload it to the internet, and that's it. So every time that that person or others need that knowledge, they can tap on the internet and get it. That's simple. So it creates an experience of we learn. So we learn with each other. And it's so, at the same time, it's unbelievable in terms of motivation, because everybody is acknowledged as a person that has knowledge. I will give you very short examples from that project. So this is one of them. This is in Spanish, actually, and this is from a logistic company, and they have to do stuff in the warehouse. And what they do, it's one guy explaining to the other how to do this. Pose the question, and he's going to explain. I'm not going through the video because it's not relevant for you, warehouse things. But what there are several tricks there. For instance, he has a wireless microphone. For instance, he's not asked explain to the camera. He's explaining to the other guy. So we managed to put very regular people that never were in camera, and they look like actors, but they are very regular people because they are not looking to the camera. And this is very important. It's a small trick. Another example is in a multimedia context. That kind of thing that you have in the computer, an interface, and you have to explain how to do stuff. The same thing here. This is another company, also another Spanish company, and how to close a production order. So this is the desktop, and somebody asks how to do something, and the other explains. So these kind of videos are available on the internet of the company. So very, very simple things, because I really believe in simple things when we are talking about using very complex ones. I like the Kalashnikov principle. You know Kalashnikov? AK-47, have been around. So they asked Mr. Kalashnikov how he thought about creating the Kalashnikov. And his motto was, complex thing is unuseful, simple is useful. And that's it. So simple. And it was useful 1847 for some people. So the last example that I want to give you is from my own university. So I put people to do exercises using videos and YouTube, because this is a digital marketing course. So it was for me very strange to give it in a room and say, okay, now we come here every week and talk about digital marketing that is so great outside. No. So I challenge them to do something that is very funny, that they have to do a video about parts of the content of the course. And they have to post it on YouTube. Say, the video has to be between 2 and 3 minutes. They have to post publicly on YouTube, and the evaluation is, I think, my masterpiece. Why? Because evaluation goes like this. 50% is the content, 10% is the format, the special effects that somebody likes to do it, and they do it absolutely fantastic, some of them, and they are like management students and things like that, so it's not like a film school or something like that. But the real point that gives them that learning experience that we have to enhance is that 40% of the grade is they get it through the number of page views they have from the video. So the more they have, the more grade they have. So that is and so they enter in competition. They start using all the means that they have. So I really don't need to talk about social networks with them, because they are learning, experimenting themselves. So they created videos. There is hundreds of videos nowadays that they are online. So the results, for instance, they are much more motivated. At the beginning, they are scared. Again, because it's a question that sometimes we talk about the Y generation, and that they are like 20 years old or something like that, and they are very savvy about technology. But when the real test is, do a video online, and they start, no. And then you talk with the millennials, the small kids, and they do it without any problem. So also creates a memorable learning experience, like I said, and it's a tool for promotion for several people, for themselves, for the course, for the school. And the fun thing is that, and this is a thing that I think that we have to change the way we see universities, that we see training centers, that we see high schools. The true way to open them to the world is to share the knowledge that is inside, and not to say to people, you have to come inside in order to get it. So what they are doing is, they are sharing knowledge about digital marketing with anybody that has an interest on it. But at the same time, this is a scary world. This is a world where we have technology, we have a lot of challenges. This is a real wave, the 30 meters of wave. This is in Portugal. The guy that is surfing, he's really surfing. He's a guy called Garrett McNamara. He's an American surfer. And he did some YouTube videos nice of him surfing this. But what I've been talking about for the last 45 minutes is the wave. I'm telling you that this is coming, and you have two options. Embrace it, or be squashed. Those were the options of Gareth. Well, he's still alive. So, guys, dziękuję. Do we have time for questions?